going to be looking into Eskom. Eskom is just 100 years. The company was founded in 1923. And so we're going to look into how things have gone for the company, how the company has performed over the years, looking into the leadership, the CEOs of the company, since the position was started in 1985, so it makes it 38 years. So we're going to look into how many CEOs does the company have over the past 38 years and how does it affected the company performance. So we look into the technical performance of the company. Under the technical performance, we're going to look into things like EAF, which is energy availability factor. It's how much electricity is available at a given point in time. Then I look at PCLF, which is plant capability loss factor. So it refers to your maintenance plan that we have for the units over the year. And then you're going to look at UCLF, which is unplanned capability loss factor, which then translates to the times that your plants are planned to be available, but unfortunately due to breakdowns they won't be available. So we look into all those things over the duration of the company since its inception, like I said, from 1923 till today in 2023. So the company was founded by Dr. Hendrik van der Bijl in 1923 and with the name as Electricity Supply Commission, and the name was then changed to what is known today as Eskom in 1987. The sole purpose of Eskom was to just build and maintain the power plants for the country, which is South Africa. They will build their first power station with the name Sabi River Gorge Hydropower Station in 1927. The power station was completed. It was only producing 1.35 megawatts. And if you compare that to Kusile Power Station, which is going to be producing 4,800 megawatts, once it's fully commercial by the end of 2024, you can see the difference between the two power stations over the years and how much electricity demand has risen over the period since 1927 till today. And that is just a lot if you look at it, and there is a lot of power stations obviously Eskom has at the moment. If you look at the installed capacity, they're looking at 46 gigawatts of power plants that they have, even though they have all the challenges of load shedding, but the installed capacity is more than sufficient to cater the needs of the country. Then look at the electricity grid value chain, how electricity comes from the power station until your house. Basically, electricity is generated from nuclear, which we have one nuclear power plant in Eskom, which is a Kubek power station in the Western Cape. Then we have the whole lot of coal power plants, as well as we still have also hydro plants that we have. If I recall on top of my head, it's probably 5 or so that we have, but we'll cover that in our future videos. We just go through all the power stations. We'll look into how old are they and when are they planned to be decommissioned as well. But basically what the value chain looks like is electricity gets generated from the power station. From the power station, it then goes to the electricity transmission, where it gets to be transmitted, and that after it has been transmitted, it then distributed to the retailers as well as the Eskom customers. As far as Eskom is concerned, this is how the structure looks like. We have generation, like I've already highlighted, and generation has 46,000, like I said, 46,000 installed capacity, 46,000 megawatts installed capacity, which is in the form of coal, nuclear, pump storage, hydro, as well as OCGTs, including there's a wind farm as well. Once electricity is generated, then it needs to be transported or transmitted to the customers, and that's where the division transmission comes in. Transmission department then transmitted electricity to the distribution division, which then distributed to the customers, which will be your municipality as well as all the individual customers that are directly powered by Eskom, because the setup is you have customers that are directly fed by Eskom and serviced by Eskom, and then you also have customers that are service via municipalities. So that's basically how the company structure looks like. We will then look into the leadership of the company to see how has been the CEOs been appointed and performing all over the years. So the Eskom leadership has been going on, or is since started in 1985 to this day. Dr. Ian McGrath was the first CEO of the company. He stayed on in the position for 9 years, was then succeeded by Ellen Morgan from 1994 to the year 2000, which makes it 6 years. So if you look into those years, there was still stability in the company. As far as the position of the CEO, that you will see as well, when Thulan Kapash was appointed in year 2000 to year 2007, he was in the position for 7 years. During that time, they made a decision to bring back Komati, Camden, and Groote power stations. Those 3 power stations, they have been mothballed between 1985 until I think early 90s. Due to that, there was a surplus of electricity available, so they decided that they will mothball those power stations. And then in 2004, those power stations were then a decision was then made to bring them back to life. Then Thulan Kapash will leave in 2007 and be succeeded by Jacob Maroga. In the very same year that Thulan left, that was when Jacob came in. That's when load shedding that we know it today started. It was a strange phenomenon, or the strange thing that to happen to the country at the time. It was not common, but to this day now it's common, and we even have stages now from stage 1 now to stage 8. So Jacob Maroga will came in 2007, and in 2009 he will then leave the organization. So after he left, because he didn't serve his term that he was intended to serve, so Mpho Makwana, who will then come in on an acting capacity from November 2009 to 2010. If you are aware of the news or the things that are happening at Eskom at the moment, you will know that Mpho Makwana is actually the current chairperson of the company. So it's not the first time that he's within the organization. So in June 2010, he will then hand over the position of the CEO to Brian Dames, who was then officially appointed CEO, and he will stay on from July 2010 till March 2014. Brian Dames is currently the Chief Executive of African Rainbow Energy and Power Ltd, which is owned by Patrice Motsepe. So Brian, when he left in 2014, Colin Majila will come in on an acting capacity again. So as you see now, the trend of acting is starting to pick up. So you see he comes in and act from 2014 April to September, where Tshidi Somatona was officially appointed. However, Tshidi couldn't last long. As you can see, he was only there from October 2014 to April 2015. However, when he left, he was succeeded by Brian Molefe, who at least managed to stay for more than a year. And Brian Molefe, if you know him, Brian Molefe was the CEO of Transnet from 2011 to 2015. And he came from Transnet, coming from the PIC. So he's been in the leadership position of the CEO for multiple state-owned entities, if you look at it. However, he unfortunately didn't last long as well. He would leave the company in November 2016, and Matela Koko, who at the time of Brian Molefe's tenure as a CEO was heading the generation division of Eskom. So he came in to act for him from December 2016 to May 2017, where he left the organization as well. And Johnny Dladla will come in again on acting capacity. So if you see, from December 2016, January 2018, all that was happening, it was acting upon acting, and you will see as well with the performance of the company. Even though if you look from 2015 to 2018, surprisingly enough, the technical performance of the company was better as compared to over the years as well. But we'll look into that when you get to the technical performances. And then in January 2018, Phakamani Hadebe will come in on an official appointment as a CEO of the company. However, he never lasted long again, but he didn't manage to finish a year. But he will leave in July 2019, citing medical conditions and saying that the position was stressful, so he left the company. So since he left again before the time that he was supposed to serve, then it means there was no replacement ready. So Jabu Mabuza, who was at the time the chairman of the company, will come in on an acting capacity from August 2019 to January 2020, where he handed over to under director, who will head the company for at least 2 years, from 2020 to February 2023, where he left the organization before a month earlier than the time that he has indicated that he's going to leave the organization. Under Deruta is famously known for selling assets at Nampak. So when he joined Eskom, there was that assumption as well, or the thought that he was going to dismantle or disband the organization. Hence, there was a rumor again that the company was going to be separated into 3 entities: generation, transmission, as well as generation. However, what did happen was transmission was actually removed from Eskom, but you will see that as well as we continues. As well as the current CEO at the moment is Khalib Hassim, who took over from Andre when he left. Khalib Hassim is currently appointed as a CFO of the company. So at the moment he's on this acting capacity as the CEO until the formal appointment has been finalized. There is not much that has been said by the company as far as that appointment is concerned, but at the moment Khalib Hassim will stay in the position until the formal replacement has been found. The CEOs comes and goes, and with Eskom it's even worse than one would expect for the company that is a state-owned. And in the past 38 years since there is a CEO in the company has had a staggering 16 CEOs. So you can imagine how unstable the company will become if they cannot even be able to keep a CEO for that long, with an average of 2 years, 4 months over the period of 38 years. So it's looking bad. But what we want to talk about is let's look into the performance of the company over all these years, but only looking at from 2007, where things seems to start falling apart. And if you look at the trends, you will see that things are not getting any better. But we will focus on the few trends that are of high importance for the organization to show its performance, and where if they can change certain things under those, then you will see the difference as well. So we look at the blue line, this one, which is the amount of diesel that is being burned, and the yellow line, which refers to EAF, the amount of electricity that is available at a given point in time. As well as we have this one here, the light blue one here, almost here at the bottom, which is your UCLF. So it's the amount of electricity that is not available at a time where it is required. So we look into those over the years and see how the things have been going and how things should have turned in the way that the company does better. So if you look at the year 2007, that's where load shedding started. When the load shedding started, the EAF was still sitting at 88. As you can see, your EAF, your UCLF, as well as your PCLF are also low. If you look at 88, for you to get 100, you only need 12. So you see the company was doing very well. However, that's where the issue started. So you'll see the diesel ban started to go up. In 2008, they have banned around 346 million liters of diesel at the time, and the peak demand was roughly 37 gigawatts. So if you look at the peak demand, which is the yellow one, you will see that it's more or less fairly stable. But what is also concerning is that there is the amount of electricity needed by the customers has also went down, which is a concern for the company as far as making profit is concerned. But it means that also people are no longer believing in that the company will be able to deliver, so they are looking at other alternative sources. But more or less, the peak demand is very stable over the years. It doesn't really change much. But what really does change is the amount of diesel banned. So if you look at 2009, the diesel went down. 2009-2010, the diesel ban was a little bit low. However, in 2010, that was when Brian Thomas was appointed as a CEO of the company. And if you look at it, you'll see that the company was not stable, even though there was a CEO for that almost 4 years. But the performance of the company started to deteriorate further. If you see that he came in 2010, where EAF was 85%. By the time he left, it was down by 10%. And you can also see the light blue one here at the bottom, which is UCLF. It was also starting to be on the steady rise, as it was already now at 13%. But if you remember, when he joined the company in 2010, it was 5%. So it had went up by 8%, which was already an indication of not a good performance for the organization. And you look at the diesel's band as well, it went up. By the time Brian left, the company was already in billions of banning diesel in a year, because this is just a year. So when he left, then you'll realize that Brian Molefe was appointed here in 2015, and the diesel band didn't improve as you would expect, obviously, as well as the EAF was also not improving anyhow. It was in 2015 when he came in, it was sitting at 74, and the diesel ban was still in the billions of liters spent in just a single year, in 12 months. And the UCLF was also high at 15%. So Brian stayed in until he was succeeded by Koko. A year after he left, you will see that there is a sharp decline in the amount of diesel that was spent. But now let's look into that diesel, the amount of diesel banned versus other indicators. If you look in the year 2017, the EAF was 77, so it went up from 71 to 77, and that talks to your UCLF as well as your PCLF. You will see they were both sitting at 10%, so there was improvement on both of those indicators as well. So meaning that was a good performance on the technical side of things. And when Koko left as well, there was acting Johnny Dladla, Sean Maris, they came in, and that's where again the steady climb started again. Diesel banned started from 10 million liters that was banned under Koko. Then we have 38 the following year. And when Phakamani Hadebe came in, there was no changes after that. Then the decline started. If you look at the EAF is the most important one over all of them, even though diesel also tells you something is not going okay. But when you look at the EAF, then you know if you're going to be sitting with the risk of load shedding or not. So if you look at the EAF and the UCLF, the other one is deteriorating, it's going down, the other one is going up. And you don't want this one, the UCLF, to go up. You want it to stay steady. More or less 10% is the standard that Eskom wanted to adopt. They basically wanted to adopt the 80-10-10 rule, which means 80% EAF, 10% UCLF, and 10% PCLF. At the moment, it's not going in the right direction. Even if you look at the PCLF, it's going down, even though now it's sitting almost at 10. But for you to be able to pick up the EIF, you need to drop the UCLF and increase on the PCLF. So you need to do more maintenance so that it will be able to be available for most of the time, so that your EIF will improve. And for that to improve, you need to also to save money on and burn as less diesel as possible. By the end of 2022, they were already going up at 580 million liters of diesel. Even with that burning, they were only still sitting at a mere 62% on the EIF. And I can tell you, by end of 2023, this figure was now below 60%. So they are hovering around 58-54% on the EIF. So now if you look at the installed capacity of 46,000 gigawatts, then you have an EIF below 60%. Then that tells you a lot about the company that is basically not doing well at the moment. So that is basically what's been happening over the years from 2007 till 2022. The final results for 2023 are not out yet. So if you look at the technical statistics, of which is only these three indicators, EIF, UCLF, and PCLF, of which that is what Eskom strive to work with, which is the 80-10-10 rule. If you look at 2012, that is the closest they were ever been to that number. Since then, the number has been going down. However, if you look at 2013 as well as 2018, 2017, that is where the technical performance started to improve. Unfortunately, there was no stability again in the organization. So as you can see, the steady decline again to your EIF. And if you look, it's also aligns with your UCLF. UCLF went up. Actually, it's its highest at the moment. By close of 2022, the UCLF was at 25%. That is just too much. So, like I've highlighted that to say, for you to improve the performance of your EIF, you need to first deal with the PCLF. Your PCLF, which is a gray line, needs to go up. So you need to do more maintenance so that it will be able to be available for most of the time. So as long as you don't maintain, then you won't be any improvement. So you need to deal with that issue of how do you then balance the scales, because as long as your UCLF is that high, then you will continue with load shedding, of which that's not what the public wants at the moment. So let's look into the future. At the moment, at the time, by end of 2022, in actual fact, Eskom has already resolved to say transmission will be removed from the Eskom fleet of companies. So now transmission will be a standalone company, as from the decision was made in 2021, actually in December, that they will be forming the National Transmission Company of South Africa, will be a standalone company. Unfortunately, still another SOC, which is a state-owned company again. So there's not much change that is really being expected. However, we will cover the National Transmission Company of South Africa in future on what exactly is their mandate, what is it they seek to do. And if you remember, I spoke about Andre de Ruyter, that when he joined the company in 2020 January, there were rumors that he was here to unbundle the company. And if you look into this, it basically speaks to that, to say he came in and he actually managed to execute that mandate. But however, that is just a rumor. It's not a fact that is basically what he came to do. He came in to steer the ship according to the right direction, according to what he thought that it could be. But unfortunately, when he got in there, he realized that things are not as one would thought it would be. It's unfortunate that for him, when he joined the company was already in a bad space, and they assumed that when he came in that he's going to unbundle the company, and unfortunately that also did happen, making him look even more worse than he did. And obviously the public was not happy with him as far as the performance of the company and the decision that was made by the government, in actual fact, to say the transmission department of Eskom would be taken out and to form a separate company for whatever reasons that may be. But I think once we'll delve into that issue in future and see how does this new company fits into the scheme of things. So basically that is Eskom for you over the 100 years. That's how the company has performed technically, and you can see on the numbers to say that as much as long as you don't keep the CEOs or the leadership, there's no stability on the leadership part, the company will obviously and more likely to underperform, and Eskom has not been doing well. Hopefully they will find a suitable candidate that will succeed Khalib Hassim, who is currently acting at the moment, to steer the ship in the right direction, which is still possible. If you look at the installed capacity, we have an installed capacity of 46 gigawatts, you can be able to supply the demand of 33 gigawatts of that is the demand that the company has to deal with on day to day. So they can be able, without even having to burn diesel, because if you have to meet the demand by burning diesel, that you are also not heading in the right direction. But we wish the company all the best. Hopefully they will be able to achieve all the things that they want to achieve as far as improving the EAF and also improving the image of the company at large, because the image has been tainted for too long and it doesn't seem to be any improvement as far as the performance of the company is concerned. But hopefully the government will do the right thing and be able to get a suitable candidate that will steer the ship in the right direction. So we'll end here for today. So please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, comment as well below, and if you don't do that, we will tell Eskom to come and switch off your house. So please subscribe to our channel.